Hi, this is Tony Alcantar on Accents. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. The movie we're going to focus on is Ferrari. Now, I've already seen it, so I'm not going to do a reaction video, but we're going to talk about some decisions made pre-production on some other shows that determined how the theatrical convention used was executed and if it worked for the show or if it didn't. And then we're going to shift gears to Ferrari and see if the decision made pre-production helped or hurt the final product. Now, I've probably talked about this because I always talk about it. When I was a kid and I watched Hogan's Heroes, I, even as a kid, didn't understand what language they were speaking. Everyone's speaking English, but I thought to myself, why would the Germans speak English to each other? It doesn't make any sense. Speaking to the Americans, yes, maybe, but to each other with no Americans? Watch this clip, you'll see what I mean.
It was 1,000,000 to 1 shot that the candles would have hit the truck.
What candles?
The candles from the birthday cake.
Birthday cake? In the middle of World War II, you give yourself a birthday party?
Oh, no, it wasn't for me.
The party was for me, sir.
You give a birthday party for a prisoner?
No. My men gave it to me. Oh, I'm sorry you missed it, Major. It was a great party. I saved you some cake.
Oh, thank you, Hogan.
So apparently, we're supposed to think they speak a common language and it doesn't really matter what it is as long as it benefits our heroes, our literal Hogan's Heroes. That seems to be what the convention was and the decision made pre-production, sort of like Bugs Bunny, where anything goes, logic, illogic, as long as it benefits the hero, that's what the convention is.
This time you're a diamond!
I know this defies the law of gravity, but, you see, I never studied law.
They could have gone the route of Stalag 17, on which Hogan's Heroes is based.
I have 2 empty bunks here. Nummer 71 and number 73 in Baracke 4. Ah, you're joking. Always with the wisecrackers.
Wisecrackers. Where did he pick up his English? In a pretzel factory?
The Germans speak to the Americans in English, some of them, the liaisons, the higher-ups.
Guten Morgen, sergeants. Nasty weather we are having, eh? And I so much hoped we could give you a white Christmas, just like the ones you used to know.
They speak to each other in German.
Bitte?
Melde Gehorsam! 628 Gefangene, 2 Mann fehlen in Baracke 4.
I understand we are minus 2 men this morning.
Schnell, bevor der Mann vom Roten Kreuz infizieren kommt. Raus mit dem Draht und den Ball auch. Raus damit.
But the lower-ranking Germans, they don't know English, so they just speak German.
Was soll das? Was machen Sie hier? Sie sind verhaftet!
They even go so far as to give Schultz a background where they say he's been to America. So it makes perfect sense that, yes, he would be the right one for the job to speak English to the POWs.
I've been to America. I've been wrestling there. I wrestled in Milwaukee, in St. Louis, in Cincinnati, and I will go back. The way the war is going, I will be there before you.
You should live so long.
Yeah, that's me in Cincinnati.
Who's the other wrestler, the one with the mustache?
That's my wife.
Hogan's Heroes figured, we're not going to do that. They've got the Russians speaking English while they're aboard their Russian sub.
Then I will live in Montana. And I will marry a round American woman and raise rabbits. And she will cook them for me. And I will have a pickup truck. Or possibly even a recreational vehicle. And drive from state to state. Do they let you do that?
Yes.
No Russian accents.
I mean, yeah, it's clear that Connery totally doesn't give a fuck about his character's theoretical accent. You get Scottish or you get nothing, bitches.
And as you can imagine, the Americans in the American sub, well, they're speaking English too. I don't have to show you that. You can figure that out. But the big question, and I'm sure they addressed this pre-production, what happens, because in the story, the Americans board the Russian Soviet submarine. How do we have them communicate? Because there is communication between them. I'm going to show you the clip with my subtitles.
Каков-нибудь покору. What's so funny?
Well, the captain seems to think you're some sort of cowboy.
New по-русски.
Немного. Полезно знать, что думает противник. Не правда ли?
It is.
I doubt you'd remember, but we met once at the consulate in Leningrad, along with your wife. I'm very sorry.
What gives you the right to fire on my ship? Your signal said nothing of a torpedo.
Ryan?
It was necessary to maintain the illusion for your crew.
My crew are being rescued, yes?
As we speak.
And they had to discuss this pre-production, and I think they did an awesome job.
Hey, mambo, mambo,
Italy, late 50s, pre-production, they decided English with an Italian accent is supposed to be Italian. That's what they decided.
So what do you think?
There is no ashtray.
Are you a prima donna?
You ever try flicking ash out of a car at 200 kilometers an hour?
I'm offering you a brand new car which has the edge on Maserati.
Bullshit. The Maserati is faster, and it has an ashtray.
If I put in an ashtray, will you drive it in the Mille Miglia?
Listen to how Adam Driver responds to the accent question.
Michael wanted subtle accents. He didn't want people to be making mistakes in the dialect. The conceit being that if they're speaking to each other, then they're not making mistakes in the dialect.
Listen to this clip. He almost says it verbatim to the first clip, but watch his emotional reaction.
How was it nailing that Italian accent?
Good. It was good. Good. Helpful to the character. He wanted to do subtle dialects where the conceit is if they're speaking to each other, then they're not making mistakes. So it was all just doing a flavor. It was helpful.
He knows. Did you see that reaction?
Good.
Notice how he repeats the same thing.
The conceit being that if they're speaking to each other, then they're not making mistakes in a dialogue. Where the conceit is if they're speaking to each other, then they're not making mistakes.
Now, I can only interpret that as Michael Mann said, okay, we're not Italians, we're not portraying Italians who came off the boat, who speak poor English grammarly. Isn't that a website or something? Their grammar is still good. So I suppose Michael Mann said right up front in the meetings, you're not going to say things like, hey, why you no love me? Why you no love me? Because that just shows an Italian who's actually speaking English but has the grammar wrong, maybe. Or why for you go to the store now? Why for you do that? He didn't want mistakes in grammar is the only thing that I can imagine Michael Mann said to the actors about their Italian accent, which would be the Italian language. If that's what he, the boss, wanted, that's what the boss got. But now watch the reaction to people just like you and me, not the experts. And you know, while I'm a dialect coach, I'm also a movie watcher. And so you have an opinion, I have an opinion. We just go, do we like it or did we not like it? Watch and listen to the common thread of what people did not like about it.
So why exactly is everybody speaking English with an Italian accent?
So another thing that really bugged me was, listen, either commit to an accent or don't commit to an accent. It's okay if a bunch of American people are speaking English, right? And they're just trying to get the point across of the story. Like, we don't need fake Italian accents to get the point across.
Adam Driver is American, and he's also kind of good at faking Italian accent, but not good enough. Penelope Cruz is probably the best one at faking it because she's Spanish.
Excuse me, please. My husband isn't here. He's out whoring. Grazie, buongiorno.
Penelope Cruz is like always kind of radiant and worth watching, but she's sort of reduced to angry yelling in this movie and not much else.
Who gives a shit? You were supposed to save him.
You blame me for his death?
Yes. Yes, because you promised me he wouldn't die.
Everything. I did everything. Tables showing what calories he could eat. What went in, what came out. I graphed the degrees of albuminuria, the degrees of azotemia. Diuresis. I know more about nephritis and dystrophy than cars.
I blame you, because you let him die.
Penelope playing her second Italian of this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Not terrible, though. Like, no one's got a critique on her accent. I think she does a decent job with it. I agree with you.
And then the other half of his interpersonal relationships is with Shailene Woodley, just like struggling her way through that Italian accent, never really having like an ounce of believability in the role.
The unfortunate thing by Michael Mann saying that, I think he hamstrung the actors into don't instead of here's what you do. And the thing that he missed is Penelope Cruz. He had the goose that laid the golden egg right there. She speaks Spanish.
A veces mujeres más mayores o la segunda película que hice con Castelito.
She speaks French.
Je me sens très heureuse et très nerveuse. J'aime beaucoup les festivals and j'aime beaucoup le travail de Asghar Farhadi. He's a genius.
Yes, she speaks Italian.
Crochet, l'altro l'uncinetto. Punto. Ho imparato con lei e sento una pace quando lo faccio e ho dovuto praticare un po' per il.
The mistake made by Michael Mann was not saying, you see Penelope over there? Do you hear her? That is the target sound. That's the target sound. She's the one you should be imitating for your vowel and consonant sounds. She has the flavor because she speaks Italian, and therefore when she speaks English, she has that accent. Because there's no other reason that they failed so badly, because they're not matching her. She's saying hand. She's saying can't. They're saying can't. Hand. They're saying ashtray instead of ashtray. They're saying pass instead of pass. She's rolling her R's. She's dropping her H's. The I, like sit, is always like sit. She's constant in all the things that they should have been constant in. But because they have this overshadowing don't ... as opposed to, hey, check her out, they dropped the ball.
I didn't think that Adam Driver was the best Enzo Ferrari. I'm just keeping it 100. I don't think he was the best Ferrari. He did not at all have the Italian accent nailed down. I kept thinking, this is very Jared Leto-ish. Like, this is not an Italian accent. Meanwhile, Penelope Cruz is fantastic. She cleans his clock in every scene. She is so great in this movie. She steals every scene she's in.
Because Penelope Cruz was in this movie, and it's a blessing to have her in the movie. Because she was in the movie, she was the strong character because she carried the flavor. She knew how to do that stuff naturally. But instead of them noticing that and executing on that and having Michael Mann on their back saying, light accent, just a flavor, every character other than her seems anemic. And that's why the decision made at the top doomed this. Michael Mann got what he asked for. That's exactly what he asked for. And the producer is never wrong. But the producer also gets all the bad rap. So he's got to take this one on the chin. That was his decision. And I got nothing against Michael Mann. I'm sure he's fine. People just didn't buy it. Okay, that's it this time. Alcantara and accents. I hope you learned something. Drop a comment. If you disagree with me, that's fine too. Let me know why you disagree with me, okay? Subscribe, ring bells, and let me know what movie you want to see that I can comment on either as an expose like this or a reaction video to a movie that I haven't seen. Okay, that's it for now. I will see you next time.